Welcome to the Caravan Show, where we discuss all things caravans. That's right, everything you need to know about caravans, from weight, towing, maintenance, appliances, renovations, buying a caravan, repairs, destinations and reviews. We'll also chat with some Aussie legends, manufacturers, suppliers and of course, people who love caravans. Take it away, Roy.
G'day everyone, it's Roy from the podcast show one more time again. Look, this is a very, very exciting day, a very special day, because today is actually our 50th episode. Can you believe that? 50 episodes in the bag. And to top it off, I've got a very special guest on the line at the moment, Kevin Sullivan. Now, Kevin's becoming a very well-known country performer. He's already got an album out. If you haven't heard of his album, that's called Belonging, and he's about to release another single. So his last single, which was Outback Australia, which was a brilliant song. I've played this so many times, it's not funny. I'm desperately waiting to hear Against the Tide. I believe it's coming out on the 18th. So look, welcome to Kevin Sullivan.
Hello, Roy, and hello to all your fantastic listeners on this great podcast. And congratulations, number 50.
Thank you very much. You know, when we first started this, we weren't quite sure how many episodes we intended to do, but we spoke to so many incredible people. We've spoken to Lord Mayors all over the place, and we've started to look at all the other things that our listeners are interested in, and that is people like yourself that perform in Outback Australia. So, I mean, you've got that single Outback Australia, fantastic, but you do actually go out and travel the Outback, don't you?
Yeah, I really do. And look, I've met people all over Australia, and having listened to many of your podcasts, I mean, is there anyone that you don't know, Roy? You know, I've been all over the place, and you know, I've played the Birdsville races, I've played at Inaminka, I've been up at Karumba up the north. One year I even played at the Woomera Detention Centre. So I travelled through the Outback for about 18 years playing music, and yeah, my next single is out next Friday, Against the Tide. So lots happening in the world of Kevin Sullivan music. Fantastic.
Kevin, tell us a little bit about yourself. Now, I do know that you've done a lot of travel. You've done caravanning before. I think you've spent about 8 years, is that right, out travelling the Outback?
I actually spent about 18 years travelling through the Outback, and I used to travel with a rally that started in Bourke and travelled for 2 weeks every October raising money for the Royal Flying Doctor Service. And I got to see lots of the Outback. But my background is, like, I'm a full-time musician, but for a long time I was a policeman, and I was a forensic police crime scene examiner for many years doing major crime. I was a bomb technician. I worked at witness security. So spent a lot of time in the police, and but the bulk of it doing forensic work. So pretty interesting sort of and challenging work.
We've all heard of the singing postman. I don't know of too many singing policemen, but it's a good place to come from. So,
yeah, and I think doing police work, and in particular doing forensic work, I've always been a musician, so it was just a really good outlet. And as you probably know, and your listeners would know, that music is a great medium and a great leveler too. So it's been great to have that, and now it's pretty great to be doing it full time.
You know, I've listened to a lot of your music, and there's such diversity in the subjects that you cover. Although there's a similar theme, and the theme that comes across for me is it's always coming from the heart, which I really love listening to. So you've got this Outback Australia, which was a great single for you. What inspired you to write that particular? Because you are the writer as well as that you write the lyrics, and you do the music and you perform it, don't you?
Yeah, pretty true. And I think so Outback Australia was the first single from my album Belonging, and I released that a couple of years ago, and it's on Spotify and Apple Music and all that sort of stuff. I was pretty much inspired purely from travelling through the Outback, and I've also travelled overseas as well. I've played in Nashville, and you know, I've recorded in Nashville, Tennessee. But I just love Australia. I love being an Australian, and I love, you know, just the country people when you're out in the Outback, out from the cities. And I think having travelled all over the world, and I think some of the lyrics say, you know, I've been away, but you know, but Outback Australia, people give you a wave and say g'day, and so I think just the pure travelling throughout this fantastic country is where I got the inspiration from.
Yeah, and of course, doing this, you've been to a lot of the places, and we've spoken to a lot of these mayors and so forth. But, you know, talking to them and talking to owners, for my caravan owners, you're actually quite well known yourself. I mean, people have mentioned me to you and vice versa in the past. I know this. So I'm quite excited to have you on the phone, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, the connection that I received from you was having travelled through the outback a lot, and I've seen lots of caravans, and I kept seeing these Sunland caravans pop up. And funny thing, 4 of my friends bought them, so they look pretty damn impressive, I must admit, Roy.
All right, well, we try not give my brand a plug on this show, but thank you for that. I appreciate it. But I do understand you're probably keen to get it back out there and do it again soon, aren't you?
Yeah, we have. So as an artist, obviously people would be very much aware that the arts industry has been quite severely hit by COVID-19. And, I've lost a lot of festivals. And just recently, sadly, the Tamworth Country Music Festival that happens every January, that's just been cancelled for next year, 2021. So I've done lots of stuff online, but my wife and I and our 3 little children, I have 5 children, but our 3 little ones, we're thinking of going on the road and just going touring. So we're just trying to work out if that's possible and feasible. And sometimes I just think we should just do it. And a lot of people, a lot of families who've travelled, and they say the experience and the education your children get is second to none. So we're giving that some thought.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more younger families doing exactly that. Homeschooling has become fairly norm in the COVID days, and they're seeing this as an opportunity to learn new skills, and part of that new skills is the homeschooling, but taking the kids out and showing them what can be done and where they can go and see some things that they would otherwise never have the opportunity to do normally. I think it's just absolutely fantastic. So, and in these COVID days where we've not got the overseas travel available, more and more people are saying, let's travel internally. But when they're traveling internally, they still want to do some of the things that they would previously want to do. And one of them, of course, is to go to things like the music festivals or go and listen to local performers, which I think is going to open up a brand new opportunity, a brand new audience for people like yourself.
Yeah, and that's what we're hoping. So we're sort of giving a lot of thought to me just getting a small PA, putting the 3 little kids and my wife in the car and playing at these smaller venues. So, like places like Thargomindah and Nindi Gully and these places throughout outback Australia where, the social distancing, it's a little bit easier to do. And these people have been affected not only by the floods and the drought and the fire and just the whole pandemic. So we're hoping to do this tour if we can pull it together and give something back, because I think the whole of the country, we've all been struggling. And like you said, we can't travel internationally, and we should get to see our backyard first, Roy, I would suggest.
Absolutely. I mean, we've been touting this now for quite a while. Let's go and see what Australia's got to offer. And Against the Tide is probably actually a good little touch to that in a way, isn't it? Because that's what we are doing now. We're going against the tide.
Yeah, well, I think the song that I'm releasing on the 18th of September, Against the Tide, I've played it to a few people in the lead up to the release, and a lot of people relate to it. For me personally, it's about, the struggles that, being a bit more mature age, as probably a lot of your listeners are, it's never too late to chase your dream. And that's where I'm at. So even though I've had a career and, a forensic police career, music was always my love and my dream. So I'm just giving it a shot and trying to stay in my own lane. And yeah, I've had to go against the tide a little bit, Roy. I've had some whispers that are you too old for this, and but I'm just trying to be Kevin Sullivan, and I'm writing music, like you said, from the heart. And a lot of people, when they hear the song, it talks about why don't we pack up all our things, just move away. And some people take us right up to the edge, but I still like having a good time. I still like stepping high. So I'm just giving it a shot, Roy. I'm just giving it a shot.
Good on you. That's really what we like to hear. It's that sort of motivation for people to, go out and do these things and enjoy it, particularly while you can, because as you say, we're not getting any younger. Mate, what sort of areas are you if you do this travel that you're talking about now, what sort of areas do you intend to go to?
Well, it's pretty fluid at the moment, as you can imagine. We had initially thought of going Victoria and then through New South Wales and then back up to Queensland. But now we're sort of contemplating New South Wales, Queensland if we can get in. But look, it's sort of changing with this very challenging times of borders and that sort of stuff. And we're mindful people are trying to do the right thing with the social distancing. So to being a single performer, it's a little bit easier to contact venues and say, look, we're going to be coming through in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So the smaller venues, it's a lot more doable. I can phone a place, called Karavan or Normanton and say, look, we're going to be coming through. Can I do a gig on the Friday or the Saturday or the Sunday afternoon? And it's going to be a bit easier. So we're just going to see how we go with it all. And you mentioned earlier the homeschooling. I think the younger generation is so much attuned to the technology that I know our little children who are at school really got into this the homeschooling and learning online. So we're hoping it's all going to come together.
Mate, if my listeners wanted to know where you're performing, have you got somewhere they could go so that they can say, look, Kevin's going to be performing here or performing there, so that they can track you and find out where you're going to be?
Yeah, like I said, it is changing with the current situation in different states. But the best way to follow me is on Facebook, Kevin Sullivan Music, and I also have a website, so www.kevinsullivanmusic.com, and you can message me. I'm pretty good at getting back. I've got a pretty good response time for people who message me on Facebook, and I think part of being a country musician is we're quite in tune with people who are talking to us and messaging us. So, generally you message me, I'll get back to you. So, that's the best way. Kevin Sullivan Music, or my website, kevinsullivanmusic.com.
We should talk to Matt and see whether or not Matt can put something onto our website to sort of tell people we're up and about. So we'll discuss that a little later on. And, the other thing, have you got yourself all rigged up with your caravan and car all ready to go yet, or?
No, we haven't got any of that stuff. We're working towards that, and we just sort of we're laying some plans down. So if only I knew someone who had a fantastic caravan. That's sort of what I need. I don't know if you know any. Do you know anyone that fits that bill? I'll maybe need to speak to them.
Yeah, good on you. You know what? We won't have that conversation now, but I will talk to you about that as a separate issue because, mate, I love to be able to help and support people like yourself out there. People constantly amaze me that they talk about the differences in people, and rather than talk about the differences, I think we should all be talking about the similarities, the fact that we are Australian and that we should be doing more Australian things and we should be supporting Australians in every area that we possibly can. And when I look at the amount of talent that's out there, I say, well, in fact, I think one of the big TV shows have just gone down this track, and I think it might even be The Voice, where they're now going to have local judges instead of international judges. And I think that's fantastic. I think that's what we should have been doing. We've got some fantastic performers here. Why aren't we using them? Why do we need to pull, imported performers into the country to do it when we've got the talent here to start off with? So, I'm really keen to help in my own little way as I can. So, yeah, we'll have a conversation about that later.
Yeah, and I think you're right in terms of using local talent. And I mean, there's been a lot of challenges have come out of the COVID-19 pandemic, but some of the positives have been, like you said, just realising how capable we are as Australians and how we are. I think we pretty much are all pulling together, and we are a very tolerant mob of people here. So, I think a big pat on the back to Australians because we are all pulling together, and we will get through this, Roy. We will get through it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to change the subject slightly again from the music to going back to your travelling days. You say 18 years on the road. Can you share with our listeners some of your really favourite destinations that you visited during those 18 years?
Look, there've been some amazing places, and I mentioned the Birdsville races just from playing. I played at Inaminka, which is outback South Australia, and then I managed to get the gig playing the Inaminka races for a few years in a row, and then I managed to play the Birdsville races in 2013, and it's a town that goes from 700 to about 5,000 to 7,000, and a lot of grey nomads, and so I played there with a band in 2013, and one of the band members who came with me is a guy called Rod Coe, he played bass, and he was Slim Dusty's bass player for about 29 years, and just a gentleman. So that particular gig, playing at the Birdsville races in 2013, was certainly a highlight. But I've played at lots of really tiny little venues. I've played like at places like the Louth pub in New South Wales, and like I said, mentioned Nindi Gully earlier. Thargomindah, there's a woman there who runs the Thargomindah Hotel called Shirley Girdler, and she's become a friend of mine over the years. And I've played at the old Thargo pub many, many times, and I even broke down one year, and her and the Duck, her husband, put me up and really looked after the band. So there's been some great experiences, and from farmers sort of mustering in choppers, landing on the road and having a yarn to us. It's just the greatest country in the world. And like I said, I've travelled all over the world, and there's some great places to visit, but Australia really is the best place in the world, Roy.
And you've done your bit to help populate the country too, with 5 children. So with the kids up and coming, are we thinking that maybe we're going to have some musicians come out of from the children coming through? I mean, I assume they all play musical instruments. In fact, I know that they do, and I've actually heard a little bit of singing too. So do you think we're going to have the Kevin Sullivan band sort of happening with the family? Maybe the new Jackson, not the Jackson, the Sullivan 5 or something like that happen?
Well, look, I've tried to encourage them that music is such a great outlet, and so I have 5. My daughter Emily, she's just about turned 29. She's in the art world, and then I have Alex, who's she's a lawyer in Sydney, and then the 3 little ones. KJ's 11. He learns the piano and the guitar. Chacha, our daughter, who's 8, she's learning the piano and the trumpet. And our little fella Jet, he's 5, and he's on the harmonica. So my daughter who's 8 and my son who's 11, they sing, they write music, they perform a few songs with me. And scary thing is, Roy, sometimes they seem to get a lot bigger applause than me when we do gigs. But look, I'm okay with that too. And look, I just think it's nice that we're thinking of taking the family on the road and try to give a bit back. And I'm going to be doing some paid gigs, but we plan on doing some just free gigs to places who've been affected by, like I said, the drought, the flood, the fires, and the pandemic. So we're just trying to to do the right thing. And I'm hoping when people see our little family on the road that they'll come and watch a gig and support the the local venues that we hope to get round in this great country.
Mate, you've been fantastic. I really appreciate time. I know you're a busy man. I know you've got the Against the Tide about to come out, a brand new single that I think is going to be sensational based on everything else that I've listened to. You've been my special guest on the 50th episode, and I think we got a little bit more talking to do off camera. So, Kevin, again, thanks very much for coming on board, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Roy. Congratulations for number 52. Thanks for having me on.
Good on you. Cheers, mate.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for, Kevin Sullivan.
I've been away from home too long, seen all the sights, I've heard the songs, but the place that is calling me is where we all should be. Talked about in Dreamtime by the Aborigine. Follow me, I'll tell you where to go. I'm going outback Australia. I'm going outback Australia. Where friends, they will shake your hand, they'll always say good day. They'll wave as you're passing through, they'll help in every way. But most of all, they'll welcome you, and one day you will say, I'm going outback Australia. They say in Rome, you do as Romans do. And in the States, it's such a bigger show. Old England helped by sending us down here. And now we laugh, our grins from ear to ear. I'm going outback Australia. I'm going outback, outback Australia. With friends, they will shake your hand, they'll always say g'day. They'll wave as you're passing through, they'll help in every way. But most of all, they'll welcome you, and one day you will say, I'm going outback, outback Australia. Play that! So tell your friends this place that you have found, and tell the world it's better than it sounds. Say come and see, our country's best by far. You'll find me there, where? Outback Australia. I'm going outback, outback Australia. I'm going outback, outback Australia. Where friends, they will shake your hand, they'll always say g'day. They'll wave as you're passing through, they'll help in every way. But most of all, they'll welcome you, and one day you will say, I'm going outback, outback Australia. 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 See you there.